Happy Saturday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where you will learn a modern Satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of this Satsang session. If you direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin this practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of Satsang, inner Satsang and outer Satsang. An example of outer Satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer Satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior. But only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The Satsang that you will learn today is an inner Satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our progress along our personal path and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul. But only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice Satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, you'll receive a lecture about a Satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, you'll receive instructions on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of Satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a Satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating satsangs, and during that time, he witnessed the positive effects that satsang could have on mankind. And upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate satsangs for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, India, and England facilitating satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
Thanks, Eddie, and happy Saturday. Eddie, is my voice clear?
Yes, your video is good too.
Thank you. Thanks, Eddie, and welcome everyone. And as Eddie was talking about the travels, I'm here in Seattle, Washington. Just came here yesterday, and there is a traditional, immersive weekend. So we'll have 2 sessions later today and 1 session tomorrow. More traditional. This one is, more tuned for the English audience, while those are the traditional Hindi ones. Not that language matters, but it actually matters more than uh, I anyway thought it would, because in last couple of decades, just getting the English content out, the differences between the languages and all that. So I can go on and on about that. But today I was, thinking about uh, what the discussion ought to be. So there are two topics that came in my head. One, very it's very fascinating to me, so I'll just briefly mention that. So on the way in, on the flight, I was reading about reading a book that my grandfather's one of the leaders in Satsang, Panditji Maharaj, he wrote Self-Realization, a Journey. And up front, he talks about, you know, what, uh, if we look at our daily lives and the way our 24 hours are structured, we oscillate or, kind of go in these three different states, being awake, being asleep, and being in a dream state. And these three states kind of keep us from being completely bored and stuck in one thing and one thing alone. Like if we were to just deal with this real world all the time and we had no respite from it, we were not able to relax and refresh um, and completely re-energize with sleep. Imagine what that would look like. And then he describes this the second state of the dream state, or the third one. So awake, sleep, and then this dream state. And he says that it is different from the other two. A king could become someone who is on the streets in a dream, and vice versa. Or somebody who's very ill in a dream could be a very, very healthy person, and so on and so forth. Is this real or is that real? But and then he describes that between that awake state and where we think that's the reality, and then the dream state, and then when you go into deep sleep, he says, your digestive system it gets time to really work, your brain, your memory, all that, so a lot of work is done while you're asleep. Um, and But then he pauses, he describes all these three states, and then he pauses and says that, there is a fourth state, which the wise people, the sages, the scriptures talk about as being really awake, being in the Indian context, it's called gyan, or knowledge of who we really are, what our purpose is, and a state of higher consciousness. And he says that that fourth state, unfortunately, is not, so these three states, just all of us go through, but the fourth state, you have to vertically climb. You have to either take somebody's help or make an effort to climb vertically to get to a higher state. And traditionally, those who helped that process were called gurus. And satsang is that effortless effort, because I always say meditation is effortless. And so, and especially the one that we will practice now, and unfortunately I'll have to drop off, but there are others who will continue the discussion after meditation. But the whole purpose of this practice that we will practice shortly is purely about reaching higher consciousness. No frills attached. It's completely focused approach where, while it's art of doing nothing, but in the process, you connect to your, inner energies and then rise up to higher consciousness levels. So that was one chapter that I read, but then this morning I was talking to Parul, who has joined the session, and we'll talk after the meditation, and we were talking about the differences between meditating on the heart versus, the third eye or Agya chakra. So a lot of meditations actually focus on in between the eyes, on the forehead, which is the Agya chakra, instead of the, Hridaya chakra or the heart, where we focus. And Guru Maharaj has talked about the differences between the two. So while upfront, a lot of people find that, meditating and seeing that energy is focused, in between the eyes, on the forehead, that actually you get focused, concentrated a lot easier than on the heart upfront, initially. While later on, the deep meditation on the heart actually gives you far, far more effective and deeper meditation experiences. But the upfront experience of a lot of people is like, I can concentrate better there. And then there are meditations which just focus on that. So what's the difference? And according to Guru Maharaj, who documented that, he said that, the mental powers and inner strengths that, if you do any meditation, you just because you're concentrating your mind, you will get the effects of, and mostly positive, but then there are some, not so positive effects as well. So you get these, what could be termed as mental powers. And if you don't, so according to my grandfather, if you don't utilize these powers to demonstrate to the rest of the world and just invest in your pursuit of higher consciousness, then you will reach higher goals and higher consciousness for yourself, and then eventually enlightenment. So his view was that when you focus on Agya Chakra, you will achieve those powers sooner, and they are far more on the surface. And because of that, a lot of the people, instead of pursuing the eventual goal, get distracted in these powers. And ego, any kind of power comes to any human being, there is that chance of getting distracted with ego. And that happens to a lot of them. And however, when you focus on the heart, um, you know, the chances, a lot of these powers either um, don't come to the surface. They are within you, but you don't feel that strongly that you have all of that. So you are more humble and you go faster, farther, with lesser effort when you focus on the heart. And that's what we will do now. And this topic, I think, will be discussed further beyond the meditation. I'll probably excuse myself. I have to take care of a few things here, but I just wanted to come talk about these two topics, and then I'll talk about how to meditate, get the meditation started, and the rest, Eddie and Parul and Shivangi and Omkar will follow through after that. All right. So thanks, Yuan, for bringing this inner yoga slide, which kind of describes what we will do now and helps understand, so we will focus on the heart chakra, as I was mentioning, but what will we do? So first, inward orientation. So we'll focus inwards. We will take all the five senses that are going outward and try to move and focus them or concentrate them inwards. And what do we concentrate on? Transcendental energy. So we're trying to manifest transcendental energy in form of light that's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are completely getting immersed in this light. So for inward orientation, there are two key things that you need to take care of. One, eyes lightly closed. And then try to keep the spine a little straight, but any relaxed posture, relaxed and still posture, because every time your body moves, your mind moves with it. So what you got to do is eyes lightly closed, relaxed and still posture, a posture in which you can keep still for the time of the meditation. And once you follow these things, you are now going to focus inwards. So by closing your eyes, you have, kept the sensory input that was coming through the eyes. So we closed that, and now with a still posture, now we are manifesting this transcendental energy in form of light, and that light is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. So eyes lightly closed, relaxed and still posture, and now feel the presence of this transcendental energy in form of light that's entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming one. You're getting totally immersed in this light. You are becoming the light. So that's the only process. If you do any mantras, chanting, mindfulness, you can do before or after. And this deep silent meditation will actually help you do those things better as well. But during this period, all you are doing is manifesting this transcendental energy in form of light into your heart. So it's the light is coming into your heart, enlightening it, and then distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming one with this light. We will start with music that helps concentration, and then the music will fade away. And we go deep into silent meditation, and that ought to lead to the higher consciousness. All right, so one more time, eyes lightly closed, still in relaxed posture, and feel the presence right here, right now. The transcendental energy in form of light is here. It's entering your heart, distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming immersed in this light. We'll start with music, then music fades away. We go into deep silent meditation, and then we transition out with music again. Let's start.
All right. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys had a good meditation session today. And my dad brought up the topic of the third eye versus the heart. And I really wanted to expand on that. What my dad was saying was that when you activate your third eye, which even in the beginning of your journey, of your spiritual journey, a lot of the energy can want to go towards the head because that's where, usually you're receiving information. But when you take the journey, down to your heart, you have a deeper spiritual experience. Sorry, my throat is a little bit crackly today. But so basically, when you take that journey down to the heart, you have a deeper spiritual experience because there's no ego involved in that heart space. And when you receive information towards your third eye, the mind can kind of come into that. So, just to give an example, all of these spiritual practices and tools that have become really mainstream these days, like, even for me, I've studied astrology, there's Reiki, there's becoming a psychic, there's mediumship. All of these spiritual tools can really generate from that third eye because it's information that you're opening up to. And so what my dad was saying was that, these can become performative things, showing people that, you've spiritually ascended and that these are new tools and things that you've been able to reach. But when you go into the heart, you realize there's a whole journey into actually, going on the journey of expanding your consciousness. And when you go from the heart, there's less ego involved and there's less of a need to tell people what level of consciousness you're at. And it's more about the experience of just allowing that consciousness to keep, evolving and going to a different place without having to show anyone or perform anything. So for a long time, especially in satsang, you might have these experiences of what my dad said, which is the art of doing nothing. But eventually you'll realize that, your consciousness is evolving just in a different way, in a way that even helps you to be more grounded and in a way that you don't have to perform. There's nothing really that you have to show others except being present and being in the energy of love and realizing that, I love to say this, but we're all connected as one. And so that journey is less performative and it's more about just being in the energy. And even just from that embodiment, people can feel that. And when you bring that presence to others, it's really, really amazing for other people to also just be in that energy with you. There's nothing that you have to perform, there's nothing that you have to show. So that's something that me and my dad do talk about a lot, is just being in that genuine presence, that genuine energy of love, and being with the light whenever you can be. So Eddie, if you want to expand on that, that's all I have to say about being in the heart energy.
Yeah, I didn't hear most of. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties, but I think what you said was spot on. When we connect with our heart, we're truly connecting with the door to our soul, because that's what the heart is. And so, if you will, it's sort of a shortcut. Others tend to develop the mind. And why do they do this? The powers of the mind. Why do they do this? Because in this world, they seek to master what we call the physical world. And so by doing that, they can manifest things that they want, material things, or maybe not even so selfishly, they'll do things for the world. And by developing the mind powers, you can do this sort of thing. But when you want to tap into the ultimate source of joy and peace, you have to do it through the heart. And so when you connect with that heart energy, that is in fact what you're doing. And that's the system that Guru Maharaj has developed for us and taught us to pursue. And the reason he said, pursue this path path first, and then all things will be given to you, is because really in the development of the mind and making that the most powerful that it can be, you have to defeat the ego. And as Paru was saying, that causes, discord within ourselves, and conflicts. And so you have to defeat that part of yourself. And how do you do that? Well, it comes back to the heart. It comes back to the heart and tapping into that peace and that joy that you experience through the heart. And then you can successfully overcome the ego at that point. So this is the whole premise of why we're here. Guru Maharaj said the shortest way, path to being the success that you want and achieving everything that you want in life, and having all the mental powers and having all the knowledge in the world of understanding the minutest parts of matter and how that links to the spirit. He says what you need to do is to follow this path of the heart. And this is the path of the mystic, if you will. And once you obtain that goal, then all things will be given to you. So once you obtain this state of natural samadhi, where you experience joy, peace, and love and light and all of that, all things will be given to you. So, if you just focus on just doing this particular satsang that we teach, all those things will be given to you. And so, that's why we're here today. I wish you all much success in this. It's a lesson that you will learn as you do it. You'll experience the peace and joy in your life that you've been looking for in other places, through various activities that you do, through, getting married, having children, and all these things. They may not necessarily bring you peace and happiness, but this particular method of satsang will do that for you. So, these are the things that we've experienced, and so we'd like to share those with you. But you'll have to experience them for yourself to know that they're the truth. So with that, if there are any questions, or if anyone would like to share any of their experiences, please do so at this time. If you have questions, you want to post those to the chat, you can do those as well. Sanjeev will answer those upon his return. But if you also want to share anything at this time, please do so. And I'll pass it back over to you, Paru.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you guys for joining us today. And if you have any questions, just let us know. And yeah, I think that concludes today's session.
I was just curious that there's neuroscientists that say that perhaps we actually had a third eye, and they believe maybe it was the pineal gland, which regulates like our circadian rhythms and things like that. So when meditating, does it help to eliminate like physical light to get you to a more relaxed state?
So let me interject here. So I was doing something else, but Steve, you got me. So basically, I read about the pineal gland, and it's fascinating what we are learning about it, and what was described in some of the scriptures about the third eye is, obviously, the scientific way of looking at things sometimes can be a bit tangential, but essentially what we're finding is that, like, the third eye is not a physical eye. It's something that still, perceives and it has some of the elements of learning, like the physical eye is seeing things. So one interesting thing they found was that pineal gland is within it's buried in our skull somewhere in the brain. However, it actually controls our circadian rhythm. And it's like, so how does it perceive the whole sun cycle? So some of that is very fascinating. It's but let me just take a flip side in terms of what I have observed, experienced, and learned through decades in satsang is what happens. And Steve, I think you have seen the 5 layers or 5 steps in the pyramid, and the fourth step is the realm of knowledge, which is the realm where the third eye opens up. What happens is that, say, if you concentrate your mind, if you develop through concentration, you develop powers. So my father used to give an example of, a river is flowing, it has energy, it gives life to, everything in its way, there's like so much going on there. But then if you create a dam, you basically, kind of concentrate that energy. And then through the dam, when, controlled release of water happens, the turbines kick in, and you can light up cities with that energy now, right? So similarly, with the mind, with the concentration of mind, you can do things that you cannot fathom early on. And so what happens is that as you progress through that, you achieve these capabilities. And if you don't waste it away, and as I think Parul was describing, like, demonstrate and perform it for others rather than your own progress, you continue to invest in yourself, then what happens is that your ability to control your emotions and converge that energy into enabling the capabilities within your brain just takes you to that next level where your deep concentration and focus and perception just opens up. So it's like I am actually reading and watching a program on neuroplasticity, and it is saying that your behavior changes your brain. So what happens is that you get hardwired into a state which is then referred to as opening of the third eye, where your ability to get into like deep research topics in ways you had never imagined before, and your perception levels of things. I mean, I can go on and on, but I'll give you one simple example, which I read in this book that I was reading yesterday. And there, Panditji Maharaj is talking about you can perceive yourself. So he gives an example that you can perceive yourself as bubbles because we exist for a finite period of time. So we are like, imagine there is ocean and then there are some bubbles on top of it. And those bubbles exist for a finite period of time and then melt away into the ocean. So he says that you could, if you just look at your physical, existence, then you are thinking about yourself as a bubble, right? So you exist and then you don't exist. But when you get to this gyan or this third eye opening up, then you realize that yes, bubble has its existence, but I'm actually the ocean. Because bubbles came out of the ocean and went into the ocean. I am the ocean. And that perception is as real as people think that they are the bubbles. And that does not happen at the lower levels of consciousness. And it is like literally, I am very convinced that it is literally a hardwired state within our brain. That's the opening up of the third eye. So you perceive yourself as a bubble versus an ocean. I mean, it's like the perception, and it's not just night and day, it's like phenomenally different, right? And if you are feeling you are the ocean, how would you feel? Right?
And what's the connection with the pineal gland?
so
Because I've heard that there's like a calcifying and a decalcifying of the pineal gland. Sometimes like things like fluoride can, I forget if it's calcify or decalcify. Like our toothpaste can get in the way of these things. Like it's weird.
No, but what we're talking about is pineal gland is helping.
Yeah.
So it's deep in the brain, but it is literally seeing, right? And that is the perception of the real world. But what is that perception? On one hand, the physical eyes tell me, here's a bubble. But, so I'm perceiving myself as this bubble versus perceiving myself as the ocean. Now, there is a shift in perception.
So would you say that the pineal gland is feeding into the illusion almost?
So what the scriptures say, or the way it's literally like, if you look at the my physical world that I'm seeing, but when I am in a dream state, it's actually as real, right? Which one is really real, right? So if my pineal gland actually starts perceiving things differently, and you say, no, that's illusion versus reality, hey, who says that it's not the other way around?
Thanks for that. I know I have a long I know I have a long ways to go on the journey. I tried to find The Prophet on Netflix and could not find it. They stopped streaming it, but I was able to buy that on Amazon. So that's something I hope to do this weekend, is watch that. So there's
and I think Omkar, Parul, can you read what Omkar just mentioned?
He's basically saying that the pineal gland, that's why we're here, right? That's the knowledge that we are trying to uncover, understand, and comprehend. The pineal gland is still physical, and what you're talking about is taking the abstract and beyond the pineal gland.
Wow. Yeah, go ahead. I have Rajat in the background. He actually agreed with Omkar, I guess. wanted to add something.
So the physical pineal gland is actually the mother of all the hormones that are secreted in the body. So it controls all the endocrine.
So, come here. So basically what he is saying is the physical pineal gland is the mother of all hormonal balances.
Yeah, so
right?
it's the original gland that secretes the hormones, which controls all the other endocrine glands of the body, which secrete the other hormones, which conduct all the physiological processes in our body. So when it was being studied, it was thought that that is like the origin, of all our emotions and the abstract thinking, the circadian rhythm, and all those things. But I think in the spiritual sense, we are yet to find one physical, structure in the brain that can explain the pineal gland. So it's kind of symbolic, like a lot of symbols are used in the spiritual scriptures and all that, but it is not exactly the physical pineal gland as we know it in the brain.
And then, do you know anything about like the DMT release? Like when the people who have like a near-death experience, like some people say it's a DMT release.
Say that again.
DMT release.
I mean, I'm not too much into these neurophysiological phenomena, but it secretes, so midbrain and pineal gland are known to secrete a lot of neurotransmitters, right? So yeah.
You see, what I actually, the more I read about neuroscience and consciousness, I mean, it's well documented that we know so little. It's like, it's, I mean, as soon as you try to figure out, like, and there is more and more discussions that are coming up as, consciousness is more like, gravity, where it's everywhere. So what switches it on and off, or like, sometimes you feel the gravity, and and otherwise it's inherent, right? So consciousness, on and off, and then higher consciousness, how are they all connected? And it gets really deep. But interesting thing is that, see, and so Steve, what I learned from Satsang and the leaders in Satsang, and including, my lineage, even my physical lineage, it's so humbly, I'm saying, like, it's fascinating to see that you can go into deep subjects on one end, but then simplify and super simplify and say, what is higher consciousness? Higher consciousness is simply the ability for me to be more human. So Sahaj Samadhi, or natural Samadhi, that sometimes Eddie refers to, when I read about this whole higher consciousness and levels, and there are so many nuances and all that, and then where does it end up? It's like I am more human when I have control on my emotions. I am neutral, so neutral that I can, like a judge, I can give, a discretionary order to myself saying I would do this and not this, and have the inner strength to be able to do that. And then when you have all of that, and you, so your perception level is high, your unconditional love oozes out, and you are in pure bliss all the time. I mean, why does it feel that it should be human, right? And why it is not that human? Because we all don't live at higher consciousness level. That's it. So what I learned from and I think this was the topic today, that, you could perform things and you can say, I know this and I know this and I demonstrate this, versus I live this, right? And if I live at higher consciousness and I help others to live at a higher consciousness level, the world would be so different, right? I will be so different. So it's like, how I deal with others, how I perceive about myself. If I feel I am an ocean, I'm not competing with anybody, right? I'm not, pulling things out from, where they belong. I'm not fighting for this and that and everything. I live like, it's not like living like a king. I mean, if I'm an ocean, I am the ocean, right? So why think about the light? Be the light, right? When you are the light, that's it. What else do I need to achieve, right? So that, to me, is the end game, right? So, but it's fascinating. It's like, I mean, research is very, very, very important, because it keeps telling me that I'm on the right path. I have so much to learn. But at the end of the day, it's very, 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 very simple. Our consciousness is not about this, that. It's just to be a better human being, and the ability to inspire, motivate, and help others to be better human beings. That's it. Sums it up. So, and thanks, Steve, for pulling me back into this discussion. And hopefully, please, send some good vibes to the weekend we're getting into, and you all be in love, light, and peace. And we'll see you all soon. Take care. Thanks, Steve.